Alright, peoples, welcome back. Welcome back to part 2 of the G3 SG1 DMR build, or I should say our attempt at a DMR build. Everybody does this differently and outcomes all vary. I'm attempting to get this all set up with 18:1 gear ratio for an M160 spring. And if you watched the part 1, you'll see all the stuff that I removed. Though good parts, probably not going to be the best setup for this. So, in the interest of saving time, I went ahead and shimmed the gears already. That's a long, drawn-out process, and like I said before, there's no exact science to this. The objective is to not have too much slop back and forth in the gearbox, and you want to have the gears all meshing good. So I have them shimmed. The only little bit of play is on the bevel gear, which that little tiny bit of play will be taken up once the motor gets inserted in there and the two gears mesh. So if you now they're spinning pretty good. The noise that you hear, if you can hear it, see. The noise you hear is just the natural noise you would hear of the teeth grabbing each other. I do have some grease in there to kind of take up a little bit of the slack, but I don't want to put too much grease so that it's flinging around in there when everything is moving. But so the shim is good. The shims are good. And then, you know, in shimming, one thing I'll just say, when you're shimming the gearbox, don't just put the gear, put the shims, put the cover back on, and then spin it. You're going to want to put some torque. You're going to want to put some screws in here. I didn't put any of the top screws in. I put the bottom screws in. So this at least puts some torque on the gears themselves, because you can over shim it. And if you tighten this, if you're just holding them together just by hand, you wouldn't know that you over shimmed it. By putting the screws in here and, you know, cinching them down, you don't have to really kill them. But by putting a little bit of torque on the two pieces here, you'll know right away, because when you reach in here to spin these, they won't spin. They'll be hard to move. And then, you know, you gotta take out a shim. But like I said, it's trial and error. There's many different ways to shim. Some people start with one gear, other people start with other gears. I always start with the spur gear, because those are notorious for hitting the actual gearbox shell. So 9 times out of 10, I've always had to put a shim on the bottom half to bring those teeth up so they don't actually rub the gearbox. But with that being said, and having a pretty decent shim, the gears are shimmed pretty good. One thing I will add to this, so these are solid bushings. So the gear shafts here are just spinning inside of the bushing. They're just spinning on themselves. So it's like a metal on metal contact. If these were bearings, like actual ball bearing bushings, when you would do this, it would spin a lot longer. When you get it shimmed correctly, it just whoosh, they just keep spinning and spinning and spinning. But this being a DMR, and that I'm going to put a ton of pressure on this, I don't want to deal with the ball bearings, because I think in the long run those will break. So, like I said, in the interest of saving time, those are already shimmed. So now basically we just have to put all this back together and then get it back in the receiver, get the motor in, hook a battery to this, and see if the 18:1 gear ratio will pull back that M160 spring. And once we figure out that it will, and if it does, and nothing shatters into a million pieces, I will go ahead and put it all back together, get the G3 SG1 all put back together. I won't put the precision barrel in yet, but we'll get it all ready to shoot, and we'll take it to the chrono and see how that comes out. See what kind of improvements we made. So let's get this open and get all our parts back in here. Like I said, when I'm doing the shimming, I only put the big screws down on the bottom to put the torque on the gears so that you know if you got too many shims in there, if you're making it too tight or if it's too loose. Tightening the top screws here, yeah, I guess you could, but it's really not putting that much torque down on the gear portion of the gearbox. So I don't even bother with those. Plus it takes more time because you got to do this. You shim it, put a shim in there, put the screws in, tighten it down, spin it up, it's too loose, take them all out, take it out, add more shims. So it's a long process. So having 4 less screws to remove, that's actually a good thing. Alright, so let's get that there. Let's get this apart, see, make sure we don't lose any shims because of the time spent shimming this. Looks like, cool, they all stayed there. Alright. Alright, so we got everything still in here. Again, 18:1 and all shimmed. Alright, so now we got to get our bits and pieces all put back together here. Let's see, where do we start? Let's go here. We'll start up with this stuff. So let's go here. We're going to put our piston back in our non-ported cylinder. Get that like that. Grab my tappet plate here. With my nozzle with the dual O-ring. Again, I will put links. I actually put the links to the parts. I put a link to the gearbox. I put a link to the nozzle. And a link to the bushings in the part 1. I'll probably put them in this one as well, just so everybody they can just click this and it'll take you right to where I purchased these pieces. But I already checked air seal and the bushings here. Actually a little bit tight, but the bushings here with the O-rings on the nozzle. Oh, really? You make a liar out of me? What happened? I just had it on here. There we go. Alright, cool. So now we're on there. But yeah, the air seal on this nozzle is really good. Alright, so there's our tappet plate. So we got that all set. Now, where's my spring? I'm going to get this little spring here. I haven't really figured out which works better. Hanging this on the tappet plate before you put it in there, or doing it after. I don't know. Let's try it before. See if we can get this set in here. Make sure that's hooked on the little track there. That's on the track. And also, like you saw in the part 1, the delay chip is not there. I'm not going to use the delay chip, so I'm not going to have the. It's not going to be pulling the nozzle all the way back. Once the spring tension's put on there, it should just go back to normal. All right, so we're good there. Now, here comes the fun. I got to get this spring on the tappet plate hooked on this little peg over here, which sometimes gives me grief. Sometimes it's not bad, sometimes it is. But no. Oh. There we go. Got it that time. Okay, so now my tappet plate here is trying to rip my shim off. Let's see if I can get this pushed down a little bit more. Hard to see what I'm doing because I got a camera right there. Let's see. Put a little light on here so I make it bright. Let's see here. Okay, well, that's good. We're all hooked up there. All right. And now, also, a plus side to having a gearbox with a quick disconnect or QD style spring guide. I don't have to try and squeeze that in there when it's all put together and worry about it flying across the room or blowing everything up out of this box. Oh, I got ahead of myself. I knew I was forgetting something. Well, this stuff has to come back out. It has to come back out. because we forgot something here. So I'm going to have to take the gears out with the shims. Like I said, I got ahead of myself. Alright, so there's that one. Not all the shims came out with it though. Let's see if I can get this out of here. Alright, let's see if we can get this. Oh. I don't see that. Knocked my shim off that gear by taking the tappet plate out. And then this little gear guy here is being stubborn. I don't have anything with a magnet that'll pick that up. Well, then I guess I'm just going to leave it here. That's why I don't like grease. Look, I can't even get the shim out of here. There's so much grease in there. I can't. It's stuck to the gearbox. Oh, I got it. All right. So this one is for the bottom of the bevel gear. Now let's pull our sector gear out. Let's see if the shim stays or comes with it. Shims came with it. Cool. All right, so put this here. And yeah, I'm going to have to take them all out because I'm going to have to flip this over. And yeah, shim stayed with the spur gear. If anybody wants to know why they call this a spur gear, this is my guess. I don't know this 100% for sure, but I think this is the most logical reason. The spur on a cowboy boot that they use to stick the horse to get him, you know, giddy up, kind of resembles this style of gear. That's just my guess. But anyways, what we have to do is our cutoff wheel. This little thingy right here that I forgot to put back in. But of course I forgot to put it back in because I was ready to put the gearbox all back together. And where's my screwdriver? Here we go. And my spring is there. Okay, so yeah, we have to put the selector plate back in as well. So now I'm going to blind everybody here for a second because I got to get light on this because I can't see. There we go. I think I got it. I think I got it. I hate to cross thread those too because well, hopefully I didn't. Yeah. Sorry if I'm blinding everybody. I'm trying to see. This is, there we go. I thought it was stripped. It just wasn't tight. All right. That's good news. All right, so now that's in. Now we're going to flip her over. And we're going to do the fun stuff over here, and hopefully the bushings stay in the gearbox. If not, no big deal. They go in from the other side, so it's not too big of a deal. All right, so first thing I got to do, selector plate. So you can't. Well, let's see what we got going on here. Actually, yeah, I think I was supposed to do that first. No, yeah, it's not. Let's see, maybe I can cheat. Yep, I got it. I think I got it. We got it. It's in the channel. Okay. So now, next thing I gotta do, I gotta get that little spring in there. That if it goes flying, that's no bueno. Because it's such a small spring, and I don't have any extras. So let's see here. Get some light. That was not enough light. When I do that, it messes up the camera. It's kind of bright, but see if I can get this in here. Oh, actually, before I do this, I need to get my little bit here in my screwdriver to kind of help pull it back so we can get this in. All right, here we go. Flashlight. Let's get this on here. Okay. Sorry for blinding everybody with the light. It was really hard to see. There's this little tiny little tab that goes on the selector plate, and then that cutoff wheel has a little tiny nub that slides over. So I put it on the tab on the selector plate because it's a lot longer, and then I just use this. Ooh, you serious? The motor pulled the bit out of the screwdriver handle. So it's a serious magnet. Then I just use this little. It's like a prying tool. I use that, hook it in there, pull it back with my finger over it, and then try to push that in, because that's not fun to lose. Alright, so now that's all there. Let's flip her back over. Bushings are staying in. And I gotta make sure my wires all stay where they need to be. That's another fun part of putting everything back together. All right. So now we can get everything back in. All right. Okay, let's grab the spur gear. And like I said, when I shim gearboxes, this is always the one I start with. Boom, there's one. Then as I'm shimming, that one spins good. Then I always add the sector gear. And again, this is just how I do it. Everyone does it different. There we go. And so I'm going to hold off on the bevel gear because let me get the rest of the stuff in here. The anti-reverse latch, this little thing over here, it's kind of tricky to get in, but it's hard to put in when the bevel gear is in. So we'll do that. We'll do that last. Let's get get my cylinder, piston, tappet plate in here. Then we got to get that spring attached again. There we go. That's popped in. I have this, you know, if anybody's working on their own stuff, you'll see that the cylinder head has a little notch which lines up there, so it locks the cylinder head in place, so it can really only go in there one way. The tappet plate also, there's a cutout there, it only goes in one way, but then when you put it in, just make sure see, I think I have my piston twisted. There we go. There's tracks in here for the piston to slide on. You just got to make sure that the piston, the groove in the piston is on that track in the gearbox. All right, so now let's see if we can get my spring reattached for the tappet plate. So I can do this without, oh, see, I'm going to need a little bit of light here. Can't see what I'm doing. All right, there. There it goes again, trying to rip my shim off. Oh, that sure is a tight spring. Goodness. This thing's not... Okay, there we go. Got those two. Now, yeah, the other tricky part, I forgot all about this stuff too. Yeah, all right, let's get this in here. This is never the fun parts. All right, let's go here. This is the safety latch here, but again, this particular type, you can't tighten it till the shell's on it, so. And we got this spring. Okay, so we got that in there. I'm pretty sure. Let's see here. Oh, why is that thing twisted? Hold on. There we go. Now, see if I can get this. Oh, there we go. Put that on. But now comes the fun. Again, I can't see anything. I got to get the spring around this. And of course my cat's over there tearing up a bag in a box over by the door. So now I gotta try and get the spring hooked into the gearbox. Of course, it's not going to let me. Wow. Well, we're going to take that shim out because every time I touch it, it comes out of the gearbox. And now the spring is not aligned in here with this safety latch. It's in, but it's not on the, it's not sitting where it's supposed to sit. Alright, well, I got it. So that's in. Alright, so what else am I forgetting? Because I got to be forgetting something else. Let's see. No, latch. Obviously, trigger. That's always fun. That is always fun. Understand why this tappet plate is sitting like this. It's supposed to be like that, sitting down more, but this thing seems to want to keep walking, like coming up. That's why that shim keeps popping off. Oh, we'll leave the shim there. Let's get the reverse latch in here. Or the anti-reverse latch, that is, again, covered in grease. I can't even grab it. I'm going to drop the dang thing. I've had to use like hundreds of paper towels to clean this thing out. I just don't understand why you would need that much grease in a gearbox. I understand greasing stuff, but what also happens is when you get a ton of BBs through it and the thing gets older, you're going to end up with dirt sticking to that grease. You're going to have to take and clean it all out anyways. Alright, here comes the light again. You're going to see where I'm putting this. There we go. Alright, so now that's where that is supposed to be. But now, okay, so I got to get this shim back on this bevel gear. Make sure it doesn't fall off. And now we gotta, and this is why, the other reason I don't like the grease, because you have to kind of hold this back to get this in. Uh-oh. There we go, got it. Got it. Oh, and that popped out. Of course it did. Because I'm trying to put the gearbox back together. Never did that before. And that shim fell off again. Well, I guess there's a first time for everything, huh? It's never done that to me before. Alright, here comes the light again because I can't see anything. There's so much grease in there that I can barely hold that thing in place. It's still probably gonna fly out. Yep, it's gonna fly out still. Well, this is gonna be hard here now because I have to get, so the shim has to go back here. Look at this, it won't stay. What the heck is wrong with this tappet plate? This is the tappet plate that came in this. Look at that, it's just going to lift the shim right up and off, right out of there. I don't understand why I can't put that further down that shaft. It's not letting me do it. There's imperfection in the gearbox here. It's not letting it go all the way down. Great. I don't know what the point of that is. There's a piece of metal in there in between the gearbox and the post. It won't let me put the spring further down. Which is why it's trying to lift everything out. Just look at it. It's just lifting it straight up. And of course this is going to come flying out now. So basically, I have to hold all this together. Oh. Never had so much trouble with this. It's like things are moving and I'm not even touching them. This is going to be the hardest part of this whole thing. Trying to get this trigger in here. At least the spring is still attached to it. That's always a pain. But getting this in and living somewhere where the sun never shines, I have not a lot of light in this room, even with every light on. It's really hard to see what we're doing. Alright guys, stay tuned for part 3. This is going to be a long one. Alright guys, welcome back. This will be our extended part 2 or part 3. G3 SG1 DMR build. I was having a little issue there trying to get the trigger lined up. All these pins lined up here with the gear. My anti-reverse latch. But we got it. You know, I didn't want to have to be just sitting here on camera trying to get the thing back together. Look at that. I can't even get my... Look at this. Look at this. I can't even get my screwdriver. That's how powerful the magnet is. And it wasn't anywhere near that screwdriver. Ay, jeez. Even sticks to the table. Alright, so let's get this tightened down so that it doesn't fly apart, because the anti-reverse latch and the tappet plate, it's like everything's trying to come back. Oh, actually, here, use this one just to get them down. Then we'll cinch them down, get a little torque on them. Oh, this is one there. Okay, so now we can put the little ones back in, because we are set. Everything is in. One thing I do also, I go counterclockwise or lefty-loosey till I hear the click, then I start to tighten. So many times I've seen people strip the gearbox because they just start tightening it and it cross threads, and then there's no repair, and after trying to repair that, it's never the same. Alright. Now let's get a little oomph on it. Let's see if I can get these. Oh, I still got to put that little screw in for the safety lever, safety latch, safety lever, whatever they're calling it. The piece that blocks the trigger when you put it on safe. That I talked about in the first video, how it goes through the case versus being internal like the old gearboxes. And I say old gearboxes. Some manufacturers may still make them like that, but I just notice it more on all the older stuff I've torn apart. I'm talking about this little screw here. On the older gearboxes, that's this screw that holds this in place. It doesn't go through the shell. It doesn't go through the cover. It basically screws in, holds that in place inside, and there's no hole there at all. But so now I need my little, oops. Need the little screwdriver, not my pry bar or pry tool. Alright, get some light in here because there's little tiny threads. Get in there. Alright. Well, look, I'm doing it left-handed, and I'm not left-handed. Alright. Oh, I'm like, why is it not tight? It's actually, as I'm doing that, it's springing the piece on the other side. So that is the other side of this little piece here, which is when you put it on safe, that goes up and locks the trigger internally. Then you slide it to semi and full. And you can see here, so there's your safe. Trigger doesn't move. You come out. That's semi. Now if you watch right here, that's the cutoff wheel, so that allows it to go 1 revolution. Now when you keep pushing, it moves the cutoff wheel out of the way. Now to go, it just continues. So, alright. Good to go. It is all back together. It is torqued. It is as good as it's going to get for now. So now let us get... Let's get it all back together. See if I can get it back in the receiver. And see if we can hook up the battery and get the motor all hooked back up and get a battery on this and see if this thing's going to turn. Let me just slide this back in. This is always a little tricky because, again, metal body. Alright. Alright, we're clicking, we're good. Alright, now comes the fun. Getting this motor grip back on. Make sure my screws are in there. It looks like they are about ready to fall out, but they're in there. Alright, so let's do this over the table in case the screws do fall out. Fun is always trying to get these connectors back through the hole in the motor grip. There we go. I think that's one. And then I got this one. Oh, that one was actually easier than the other one. Alright. Oh, lost one of the screws. There's one. Really? There we go. Boom. Okay, yeah, this motor grip even goes on here kind of tight. Let's see if I can get that screw threaded first before I go totally crazy here. Oh, gotta blind you guys there a little bit. Wow. Actually got that one started. Cool. Now, everything goes smooth when you're not recording it. I think I got it. There we go. I'll pull this out of camera view for a second. Alright, apologize for the long silence. I'm just paranoid about these motor grip screws because I had one stripped in this other gearbox. I just want to make sure this gearbox that I just purchased doesn't strip. So, if I can remember how I had this in here. So this is this way, and this was like that. Although I kind of tweaked the wires again, but let's see. All right. Okay, this is always fun because this, if you can see this, the G3 motor grip or pistol grip is very skinny this way, so it's kind of hard to tuck wires in here just because of the way it is. But I did have it in here. It wasn't the easiest thing to get tucked in, but I did get it in here. All you pros out there are probably looking at this, and you'll probably see this and start laughing. Look, I see I can't even, everything's sliding on the table. Okay, got this thing all together. Motor grip is on, it's tight. Spring guide is in. M160 spring is in. Motor's tight. I'm hoping the motor height is adjusted correctly. This is a different motor, different gears, different setup. We're using a Matrix 11.1 volt LiPo 20C. That's a 1450 milliamp hour because I wanted something a little more juice in it specifically for the DMR. I'll put a link for this. Obviously, I got this at evic.com. A lot of the stuff I get nowadays is from Evic, so you'll see links and stuff for the parts that I've used in this. So 18:1 gear ratio. You saw the insides. We have a silent piston head and cylinder head combo, a piston with a full rack of metal teeth, and we got it shimmed. We're running an M160 spring. We're running a different nozzle that has an O-ring, and it's a metal nozzle. And let's see if this setup, it also has a high torque motor that came with this gearbox. So the link will be there for the gearbox. Again, I purchased it. It was pre-assembled from evic.com. I'll put the link. Originally, it was for an MP5. So this flat face trigger is for the SEMA Platinum MP5 series, and it actually works. It has full swing in the G3 receiver. I did have to change the selector plate. That was it. But I had another G3 selector plate here. So here we go. There's the click. We are on semi-auto. I'll see if she cycles. Yeah, boy. It did cycle. And that thing is... Yow! I wonder how much FPS this thing is pushing now. Let me try and adjust this here. Let me see. Alright, let's listen to this. Oh, there's my cat. Now she wants out. Hold on. Let me get her out of here. She's like, okay, you're making too much noise. Let me out. There you go. Go get him. She was asleep there. She's looking at me like, alright, what are you doing? Okay, you're making too much noise. Time to let me out. Alright. And what I was trying to do here, I wanted to see, it sounds a little, whiny. Let me see if I can adjust this. I did kind of crank this down before. Let's see. I don't even want to know. Nope. Oh. What? Well, that's not good. Huh. That was weird. Put the thing on full auto and it like stopped. I wonder if that has anything to do with the micro switch. Huh. Okay, well. She's firing. Let's get it put together and see what the chrono says. Alright, results are in. This is with the standard barrel. This is not the precision barrel. This is not the new hop-up bucking. This is basically just how we did it. M160 spring, 0.2 BB. That's the personal high right there. 527.3 on a 0.2 gram BB. G3 SG1 DMR build complete. We're running a LiPo. I got all the internals to support the LiPo, and so with the short stroked and having the ported cylinder, I got the highest I got was 413. Now look at this, 527. So now if I run some 2 5s in it or 2 8s, I'll have stability for the long range, and it'll bring the FPS down a bit. I wouldn't try to do the long range shots with a 0.2 gram BB, but I did want to have it over 500 so that when I put the heavy stuff in it, I'm still in the mid 4s. Mid 400s, you know, 425, between 440, 430, something like that, with a 2.5 or 2.8 even would be perfect. A little bit of wind kicks in, that would not be a problem. So, yep, there we go. That's what we get. Non-ported cylinder, 18:1 gear ratio. It is pulling the spring back. It is compressing it. So that's where we're getting our FPS right there. So all I have left, I have a new hop-up unit to put in, a brand new hop-up, rotary hop-up, because this one is as old as the AEG itself. So I just bought a whole new G3 rotary hop-up. I'm going to install that with a better hop-up bucking and nub, and I'm going to put the tight bore precision inner barrel in this. So that's a 469 millimeter inner. And we'll do that, and I think this thing will serve its purpose. So, very nice.